absolutely pleasure to present to you about the Stay Collaborative in the New Norm, hybrid workspace. I understand hybrid workspace as a terminology that's being used really across the whole day. Polly actually just commissioned a hybrid workspace future of work report, and I will go through some of my content, really all of them including a report you can refer to later on. So we know that the wave of changes happening in 2020 is understatement, everything's changing. I don't need to emphasize on that, but just two things I want to call out. One is that this time is different, because when people work from home before, etc., for example, lockdown because of snow or anything else, people work from home for a couple of days, maybe a week. This time is 6 weeks, 6 months already, and it's ongoing. And the companies really have to reevaluate the way how people are going to work in the future. Therefore, hybrid working becomes extremely important. On top of that, guess what? It is a year of change, digitization, because of COVID-19 is really happening. So something is really real this time around. Now, we look at the place versus purposes. In the old days, people go to work, it's a place for people to go to, that's it. And the reality is the being in the CBD area, for people to go there, it's not really the only purpose. People really want to contribute to the company. So work is not a place, it's really what you do. So it becomes evolving to a purpose-driven company collaborative culture instead of place only. That also really fulfills itself because of COVID-19. Since we can't go to work, we are working from home, a lot of us. Right? Hybrid working becomes an imperative. When we start to look at hybrid working, there are three main things I would like to talk about. One is practice, the second is space, third one is culture. If you think about practice, why are we doing this? It's really to create a flexible working environment to allow all the employees to have most fulfilling work experience. And so therefore they can maximize their return to the organization. Now, if you keep that in your mind, really a couple of things you look at. Number one is the working patterns. Companies we surveyed say 85% of the companies look at location flexibility, increase productivity. That's something that.
Hi, Bill. Sorry for the interference, but your notes are being visible.
Oh.
Yeah.
So should I swap?
Yeah, you can swap. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you.
No problem. And I was just talking about the working pattern needs to be reconsidered, where you're going to work and how you're going to work, and the flexibility increase productivity. The second one is outcome-based working. And we know that there's so many meetings out there, and I think a lot of us are actually having a lot of meetings, but really you need to be able to really put a focus on what meetings are and how to drive the outcome instead of just having so many meetings. Finally, how do you optimize the investment? It's about real estate, because a lot of the real estate in CBD, is extremely expensive. In the previous panel session, I was mentioning how can we move some of the personal space, for example, to home, and the office really for people to collaborate instead of really for people to touch down and do their own work, right? Because people may actually want to work from home instead. So that flexibility, once it's built in, that gives you the real estate investment flexibility. Now, the second one is spaces. So we know that we have to create a space to be there. So the question is, what is there? Is there is home? Is it there is a coffee shop, downtown, a local coffee shop, or is it a co-working space? It can be anywhere. So you can bring your most comfortable work experience anywhere you want it to be, being in the office or at home. And the idea is there is prioritize acoustic and visual representation to the others. So the key word is others. When we have a virtual meeting, for example, the important thing is to make sure other people can hear us, can see us very clearly. So that's the remote aspect of the whole collaboration is very important. And I think a lot of the users may not be aware of. And so how do we achieve this wonderful working space from anywhere? So we look at, for example, home setup, right? That's, everyone's talked about that already. And how do we make sure that when we share the working space, maybe on the dining table, how do we make sure that we block out the noise from other family members while you're having an important call? That noise cancellation aspect becomes very important. Now, co-working space. people do long for social interaction with your colleagues or your suppliers or your partners and customers, so that creating a space for them to work closely together, interacting with each other, is very important to eliminate or reduce some of the loneliness when people work from home will feel. Finally, the satellite offices. And we know that if a lot of people are working from home, having flexibility of working from home, do we still need to have all the floor spaces in CBD, for example, right? So this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Finally, it's about culture. I think in the previous panel session, a lot of people talk about culture, HR is important. This is absolutely one of the most important things. So there are a couple of things from our research we found. Number one is to enable the leaders. Running a virtual team is quite different to running a physical team. You see them every day. When everyone is working from home, you don't see them every day. That feel of empowerment, how do you enable them to do their job properly, becomes very important. So leaders needs trainings. The second part is it's understanding everyone's different. So different age group, different culture, different countries, different internet connections even, forces people to work differently in their own virtual ways. So that the power to harness these virtual ways to hear and collaborate, it's something that we need to cover when people work from home and hybrid work becomes long-term to stay. The third one really is to look at connecting people. Right? People connection is the purpose of collaboration, is not things. So when people start to talk to each other, doesn't matter where they are, what device that they're on, it's really about people connections. So when we go through all this, that's why we derived the research paper we did, is the next normal is a hybrid working, really to create a flexible work environment across everything. With a new workflow, immersive workspaces, consistent experience, it's all about creating a productive environment. I think with that and with more employees allowing the employee to have flexible working from home policy in the future, and the employee will take advantage of that. And that's actually, it's good for the company overall. So how do we get there? We derive three main steps. The first one is respond, then it's redesign, and final is reinvent. We all gone through the response stage, right? When COVID-19 happened, we have things locked down, and react to crisis is the thing, right? And when employees were told, you can't go to the office anymore, panic buying started. If you remember, in a lot of these countries, in Australia, Singapore, and so on, the employees go out, buy the headset, buy the monitor, buy the printers, they buy a web camera, everything's off the shelf, right? So this classic case, employees are responding to an emergency situation. They have to get ready to work from home. But that's not the end goal. The idea is that when you pass this initial response stage for emergency, you look at how you're going to redesign this. Okay, optimize your investment to look at how your existing, for example, platform your choice, being Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Cisco WebEx, you can give this way, maximize the return for your employees and also for your own investment to create the best possible environment. So this we're looking at usually a couple of months to a couple of quarters, and that goes through the phase of how you're going to get things going much more smoothly. Okay. Then we look at a reinvent. I think that important part is that we know digitization is happening, and all the companies I've been talking to want to build themselves into a digital. A lot of investment looking at everything, all the aspects of the work process, the business process, the people, collaboration, and everything else really. So what we believe in is to be able to embed this whole reinvention of the hybrid working as part of the bigger picture of the digitization of a company to provide consistency, empowering the employee to work from anywhere. Things going to change, right? Just examples, home office becomes a permanent thing, for example, for a lot of employees. Even with a flexible working environment, you will spend enough time at home, so you want to set up a nice environment. You may want to increase the flexible work across different locations. You want to be able to recruit around the larger area. We know that there are a lot of talents in Asia-Pac region, and the ability to tap into this talent with a virtual, flexible working environment, it's extremely good for us, right? So we can tap the talent which we were never able to do before. And then we look at a smaller company footprint, because now we can much more disperse in different locations, seamless workflow integration between home and office, and technology, and then so on, right? So all this, we see this next normal as part of the hybrid working. Now, there are four main technology trends I want to sort of double click into. The first one is HD. So we know high definition video, high definition audio are extremely important, because that takes away the, I think, the hassle of joining a meeting virtually. So you can hear me clearly, you can see me clearly, and I can hear you clearly, block out the noises. That makes life much easier when you attend a virtual meeting. It's almost as good, or sometimes even better, than a physical meeting. The second one is collaborative spaces. As I mentioned to you before, that we start to look at next generation meeting spaces, right? So these next generation meeting spaces, you don't need to touch. You can create a great co-creation space for individuals to work with some great ideas and create things, right? So these are collaboration spaces that really centered around cloud-enabled, great devices. And another thing is, for example, in our region, we only have about 15% of the meeting rooms enabled with video. That's again, when hybrid working becomes more pervasive, we will see these more meeting rooms start to get video enabled, because then you want to collaborate across the whole region, and virtually and physically. Low touch or zero touch voice control. In the COVID-19 time, I think there are rules that the government health department issued, that you have to clean the surface how often and so on, right? Imagine that you can just talk to it. Imagine you can do wireless sharing. Imagine you can take out the mobile phone, start a meeting, and do, for example, wireless sharing of the content straight from your mobile phone. So we work with Microsoft Teams and Zoom, etc., to allow our video conferencing devices to have these features. So that, again, provide a much easier way to have a way of going back to the office during the COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 time. Finally, the AI and machine learning. So I'll show you a little bit later on how this AI technology really is in day-to-day life for video, for audio, and so on. But think about, we can intelligently remove the dog barking or aeroplane sound, etc., right? So that gives you a much better audio experience. We talk about audio videos are two of the most important part of the experience. So have a look at a bit about audio. So first technology we have is artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithm feeding to something called noise block AI. So noise block AI is being improved all the time. That's also why you do want to upgrade your software in your devices all the time from Poly. Okay, so the idea there is that you keep on learning things like, you know, the keyboard sound or someone tapping on the table. All these can be learned and removed from the system using the noise block AI. Okay, so we upgrade from the usual, you know, the noise blocking technology and start to build artificial intelligence algorithm into this noise blocking. The second thing is acoustic fence. So think about you can create a bubble. You're in the open office or you're in the noisy environment, you can create a bubble of sound such that it blocks out everything outside the space and only hears you. So this was the acoustic fences, and it's really useful in the open space environment. Now move to video. So we know that speaker tracking is very important. So let me demonstrate one of these. You know how, you know, I love to stand up and to do presentation. If I stand up to do presentation, what the camera will do is that it will start to reframe me, and when I talk a bit more, it will start to zoom into me. So that technology is out there that allows us to move around, to track myself, and provide smooth transition, and really make work from home presenting for a larger audience is much more comfortable. Like I really like standing on the stage to present, and that's something that much more natural comes to me. So something's really cool that Poly's cameras allows you to do that. Finally, to just wrap everything up, look, Poly provides end-to-end devices supporting all these cloud platforms out there: Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Cisco WebEx, RingCentral, 8x8, GoToMeeting, BlueJeans, and so on. We make all different type of devices, from headset to video. And the beauty of that is you have the consistency of the experience. So we have our own noise cancellation, for example, acoustic fans, the noise block AI. It works for almost all the devices, right? And when you talk about framing and the video technology I just demonstrate to you, again, it works for all the video devices. So that consistency of providing the best possible experience is, I think, it's a winner for anyone out there. Another thing I want to call out is, from the research, we know that 85%, 84% of the companies out there use more than one cloud. Okay, so we need to be able to support multiple cloud, being either you yourself using multiple cloud, or your suppliers or customers or partners using different cloud. So with Poly's technology, you can connect to any cloud you want, and it's easy to manage as well. So with that, thank you very much, and then I will pass back to Reddit for questions.